A couple of years ago, Volkswagen had a fiasco and they lost their customers' trust. They had to work really hard to get their customers back, and this is the result of that hard work.
Perfect.
So if you remember, a couple of years ago, Volkswagen had a fiasco over their emissions and the way they were meddling with the emission results. And to earn their customers back and to improve their reputation and earn their customers' trust back, they had to work really hard. And they apologized, they offered buybacks, but that would have not been enough. So they had to really understand their customers and to really give them what they wanted, specifically North American customers. So they massively noticed that the Explorers, Highlanders, and the Honda Pilots were going off the dealer lots as soon as they got unloaded from the trucks and touched the ground. So big 7-seater is what every American family wanted. And Volkswagen gave birth to this 2020 Volkswagen Atlas. And today I'm gonna take you on a tour. I'm gonna tell you all about its positives and negatives. Stay till the end. Hello and welcome to Axe and On Cars. If you are new in this channel, I review cars and I tell you all about its positives and negatives. For used cars, I talk about reliability and common things to look out for when buying one. So that's why you should watch till then, and that's why you should consider subscribing. And to remain objectives, I try to take cars from their owners instead of taking them from the dealerships, so that I don't feel obligated praising the car or giving you a bunch of marketing BS. And this is the car of one of the viewers of this channel, and he generously provided his car for the review. This is the second time. If you guys have seen my Chevy Bolt review from a couple months ago, that was also his car. And if you have an interesting car and you want it to be in the video yourself with me, or you wanted me to review your car, make sure you shoot me an email and I will be more than happy to do that. So first of all, what is it? It's Volkswagen Atlas, aka Terramont. In Europe they call it Terramont. Is basically a Tiguan on steroids. It's an oversized Tiguan, as it shares the same platform with the Tiguan and even with the Volkswagen Golf. Atlas is not a true SUV or LUV. It's really just an oversized crossover suitable for traveling distances, light off-roading, and snow traveling. So I should probably give a shout out to the engineering and marketing departments from Volkswagen, to the marketing for really knowing what their customers want, and to the engineering for being able to build a platform, the MQB platform, basically, which allowed them to take a Golf and stretch it to the size of this behemoth. So the car is huge. It's 16.5 feet long and the wheelbase is 117.7 inches long, and it feels like one. When you drive this car, you do feel its weight and its size. It weighs almost 4,300 pounds, which is shy of 2 tons for those who watch from other countries. It's definitely not the heaviest SUV compared to its competitors, but again, it's not a true SUV on a frame. It's a crossover. The body is fully made of steel, so probably 4,300 for a fully steel body isn't that heavy either. So this car is for the same group of people who shop for Explorers, Pilots, and Highlanders. Large families that love carrying their kids and their stuff around and traveling places. In a nutshell, it's for those who don't want to spend 12 years of their life in an ugly minivan until the kids grow. Design-wise, I'm gonna say that it looks to be very aligned with the Volkswagen design of the last years. I'm sorry, the car is kind of filthy. I just put the car through a car wash and it was clean earlier, but over here in Massachusetts, as you could tell, we have snow, and today we had a little warmer day and everything is kind of melting and thawing. I hope you will forgive that the car is a little dirty. Back to the design. It's boxy, it has straight lines, it has a lot of stamping. You can see, I like how, the stamping goes over the fender and repeats, kind of like underlines the shape of the wheel arch, and then it goes all the way to the back. There's ample amount of chrome. In general, a stylish car, but restrained in a Volkswagen way. Look how nicely they've incorporated headlights with the grille. The front end design makes the car look massive and intimidating on the rear view mirror. When you see this thing tailgating you, especially in black color, you want to change the lane. Almost like seeing a black Tahoe in the rear view mirror. The headlights are LED as standard, and big thanks to Volkswagen for that, but they are a little like cheaper LEDs, if you will. I want to say that they illuminate the road okay compared to some of the higher end LEDs found in Audis, for example. The rear lights are LEDs as well, and they look great. They have like different shapes. The car is equipped with IQ Light. Hopefully you can read it, which means that, depending on the conditions, the tail lights and headlights can indicate different things. So the car looks great and is large. So how did they cut costs to offer it for such low price, you might be wondering? Keep in mind that the lowest trim level S starts at $31,000 and the most expensive SEL Premium goes for a shy of 48,000 miles currently, $48,000 currently. The answer is that they saved money on the platform itself. Like I said, it's the MQB platform shared across various models, and it's kind of old by now. For example, the new Touareg that's coming out soon will be built on much more modern and newer platform than this. A few negatives listed by the owner: you cannot get 360-degree camera system on any trim level other than SEL Premium. The configurator on the side is pretty extensive and you can custom order your Atlas. However, certain features are not available on lower trim levels. For example, you can't get memory seats in the SE model. That's a prerogative of a higher trim levels. This particular model is equipped with adaptive cruise control and collision prevention system. And the owner reported to me that if you stop for much longer with your foot on a brake, let's say in a traffic jam or something, and you had the cruise control on, the system may have a glitch and you would have to restart the engine in order for it to start operating again. Alright, let's open the hood and talk about the engine a little. So you can get the Atlas with two engine types. 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged TFSI engine producing 235 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, or the one found in this one, 3.5 liters V6 that produces 276 horsepower and 266 pound-feet of torque. Although the V6 one has more horsepower, in terms of torque it doesn't produce that much more torque compared to the 4-cylinder, but V6 is the one that you want to go with if reliability is your goal. TFSI engines are pretty good, and Volkswagen have been making them for quite a long time, so they've really improved them over time and fixed the commonly known issues. But the V6 engines, traditional Volkswagens, have always been good, and I bet this one is going to be, as a natural aspirated engine, is going to be pretty solid as well. And you're not going to have that much of a carbon buildup issues that you will get from a 4-cylinder turbocharged TFSI. So both engines have dual overhead cam valve train, cast iron cylinder blocks, and aluminum heads. As you could see, the engine sits really low. If you look at it from a side from here, you can see how much lower the engine sits. That's actually a good thing, because the lower it sits, the lower is the center of the gravity, and there is so much space. So I bet working on this car is going to be easy. Just look how much space there is. It's almost like a studio apartment over here. And this is, I bet, is partially because it's the same platform, like I said, the MQB platform that they've just stretched, and when they stretch it to this size, they just ended up with so much space. Oh, I can even see the frame over here. Yeah, so working on this car should be no issue for you. Regardless of what engine you get, you're gonna get the same 8-speed Tiptronic automatic gearbox. There is no DSG available in Atlas. For many people, that's a good thing because we know historically DSG did not prove itself as the most reliable transmission. And we will see if this torque converter equipped regular automatic is any good when we take it for a drive. But only the V6 engine is capable of towing 5,000 pounds. So consider that if you're gonna tow. Keep in mind that in order to get 5,000 pound towing capability, you must get this factory installed hitch. As you know, only in that case you will get towing ready car with bigger alternator and bigger radiator. If you add it later, then you're not gonna have the larger capacity alternator and larger capacity radiator. So if towing is your goal, make sure you get the V6 model with a factory installed hitch. When it comes to interior, Atlas will meet or exceed most people's expectations. There is just so much space. It's a true 7-seater. Anybody, even like tall people, 6.2, 6.3, whatever, 7, whatever like feet tall, however tall you are, you can sit on the front seat and fit behind yourself. I could fit behind myself twice, and you know, the legroom is great. In this particular one, we have the bench style, the second row and third row. You could get this with kind of like minivan setup or captain's seat or whatever, like marketing the lingo Volkswagen use. Basically, that's a minivan setup where you would have like 2 plus 2 and 3 in the back. I don't think that's necessary because accessing the rear seat is extremely easy. Now, you pull on this handle over here, and when I do that, pay attention to the angle of the back of the seat. It stays like, you know, it doesn't like fold forward. It still preserves that 90-degree angle and tilts forward like this, and you can access the rear seat easily. The rear seats are functional. Even like adults can sit in here just as comfortably. And you know, some people will hate this, some people will like it. You will hate them if you know you had like stuff on them and they will slide down on the floor, but you will love them if you have baby seat over here. Let me show it to you. So if you had a baby seat like this one is not installed obviously, but if you had a baby seat like this, you would have not need to like remove it each time you want to put someone in the back. You could just do this and the baby seat fits between the front seat and the rear seat. So like people get in here and then you just, oops, and then you just put the whole thing back with the baby seat. That's very smart Volkswagen. Okay, so the trunk is really big too. Like look at the trunk, even with the third row raised, there's still quite decent amount of space in here. In order to fold the last row, just use this handle. It goes down like that. With all the seats folded, it's a studio apartment in here. And to raise them back, you just pull on these handles and they come back up. You can see that the last row, the third row, even has its own vents for the people sitting in here so that they could sit in here comfortably. They have their own cup holders, they have their own like door pockets and stuff. And you could hopefully see that there is indeed enough space between the seats. That second row even moves forward. So if this much space is not enough, then you could slide the second row forward to give your third row passengers more legroom. On the back, we have dual tone leather. This leather, although this is not a natural leather, I believe this is a fake leather, but it feels really good. The rear passengers can control their own climate zone. There's a bunch of USB ports throughout the cabin, and you even have a peasant blocker. That's good, isn't it? It's actually meant to be for the kids, not blocking the peasants. Alright, so you might be wondering, if everything is so good, how did they save the money, right? What did they save money on? You can see that everything in here, like in this interior, looks great. I especially like the shape of the steering wheel. It has this flat bottom, this texture over here. Hopefully you can see it's really cool. It looks amazing. This even has this like, you know, fake imitation of a stitching and leather over here. The dashboard, the panel is like, it's all like soft plastic over here, and it's really pleasant to touch. But this like stitching is obviously fake. They saved on other parts of the interior. For example, like the plastic over here, you know, everything is like made of a harsh and cheap plastic. This way, like the armrest over here is soft, but this is like scratchy and cheap plastic. Buttons, you know, they do what they intend to do, but they don't look that modern. Honestly, they look like from, I don't know, 2000s. Then again, the plastic over here, it's all like cheap and hard plastic. I almost wish like they made this plastic over here a hard plastic, and they made this one soft, because this is where like your knees touch. The infotainment is great. It's one of the latest. It has this like nice feature that it senses that when you like put your finger over here, it senses that you are about to touch it, and it shows you additional content because there's a sensor down below. Did you see that? The menu is now it has gone down. I didn't even touch the screen, and the sub menu pops up. So that's great. I like the way they've incorporated these knobs into the screen, and we have like sensors over the side, so you can like turn it off and on easily. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, MirrorLink, all of it is available. We have this like gigantic panoramic sunroof, which looks quite amazing. It's so large and beautiful, and the headroom is great, whether for the front passengers or rear passengers. There is some like storage area over here on the dash. It makes it really functional. You have the virtual cockpit. It's adjustable in many ways, and I like it. It looks amazing and very modern. This, like anything over here that looks like aluminum, is a fake painted plastic. This is not a wood. For a car of this class, I would expect to see a real wood. I don't think wood costs that much money, but anyway, all of it is like plastic. There is no aluminum. There is ample amount of royal glossy plastic or royal black plastic, whatever they call it. But the fingerprints is gonna be there. You have physical controls for the climate control, and you can even access your menu by pushing the button, like a special AC menu, and then you have like tons of adjustability here for like the rear, front, and I'm not gonna go too much into the media because I could spend the whole video on it, but there is a lot to customize here. You can see there's so much customization. I think like the infotainment definitely meets modern day infotainment requirements. The rear view mirror, I don't necessarily like this design, but a lot of people like it's like the bezel around it is really thin. It's what they call it, like bezel-less glass or something. Whatever marketing, there's a marketing term for it too. Yeah, overall it's a pleasant place. It's a good place to be. This center armrest is really soft. In terms of modes, you can switch between, so what is this? Snow, normal, sport, snow, normal, off-road, and off-road custom, which allows you to customize it. Let's put it back in normal. And for the mode, you have eco, normal, sport, and custom. I'm gonna leave it in sport. Let's go for a ride, and I'll tell you about driving the Atlas. I'll tell you all about its driving and handling characteristics. So from the get-go, this car feels less intimidating than its size would suggest. It's still a big car, but it feels a little smaller than it is. And I think the target audience will appreciate that, and the target audience, I think, will also appreciate its handling. It glides over the road, and the light steering is suitable for the segment. To my taste, it's a little too light, but you can change the weight of it through the settings. Right now the car is in the sport, and the steering, I do feel that it got heavier. It's still very light, especially for the car of this size, but you know, there's more weight to it, and it's a little more sharp. And even in the normal mode, the steering, although light, it's precise, and it surprised me. There is like a minimum lag between when you turn the steering wheel and the car changes lanes, and hopefully you can see it right now. When it changes the lane, there is a body roll. You can feel the body roll. Yeah, it's a land yacht. Let's be honest, like in terms of suspension, we have McPherson up front, McPherson struts up front, and multi-link suspension on the back, and it's adjusted in a way that the target audience, specifically American families, will love. It glides over the road, but you know that also means that it's less European tuned and more like American vehicles tuned. And then I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just like, you know, you should expect that it drives as a land yacht, but it holds the road surprisingly well. Something that I don't like is that this A-pillar is too wide. When you turn the car left and right, you have like a large blind spot. The side mirrors are pretty good and big and informative. I just wish they were placed a little lower so that I could have a bit better visibility over here. The A-pillar creates some blind zone for sure. The suspension is adjusted in a little like funky way, and here's what I mean. You don't feel like deep potholes, but you feel every little like small imperfections of the road, the patches, cracks on the road. Those do come through the cabin, and they come through the cabin in a weird way. You don't feel those on the steering wheel. You don't feel those like on your spine or on your butt, which is cool. And I love these seats. They're like so soft. They're really soft to sit on. But those come through the cabin, and the whole interior kind of like shakes when you like hit a patch on the road or a crack, like a little and thin crack. You know, I can hear that the interior materials like shaking and making sound. Maybe that's poor build quality. I doubt it, honestly. Like everything I touch feels solid in this interior. I think the build quality is pretty good. It's just the way the suspension is set up. The V6 engine in this one is almost like 275 horsepower, is pretty good. You know, I mean, like in terms of numbers, it's a high number and should be enough even by modern day standards for a car of this size. But it feels a little underpowered, especially compared to its American rivals like Tahoe, Dodge, and a few others. You know, you can even get like V8 in American rivals of this car, but in Volkswagen, like in the Atlas specifically, you could go up to V6 at most. I think that the inline 4, the turbo engine, you will feel more of the underpowerness, more of the, like lack of the power when you drive that. So I highly recommend taking V6 over the inline 4, especially because the car is it's a heavy car. It's not like super heavy. It's not light either. So I think the V6 engine will live longer. It's true about Volkswagen Auto Group, whether that's the Volkswagen or Audi. Somehow, the bigger the engine, the more reliable their engines are. So you want to get the bigger engine if reliability and longevity is what matters to you. The acceleration pedal, because of the programming, it's a little dull, you know, it's a little numb, and it's not linear. You push on it, but the car does not accelerate in a linear manner. The 8-speed transmission found in this one is battery smooth, meaning, you know, it shifts like very smoothly, but it's slow. It's slow to shift. I wish that the transmission tune was there. Transmission tune is the only problem of this car. Otherwise, it would have been much more fun to drive. The engine is, you know, it's good, it's powerful, it wants to go, and then the transmission kind of chokes it. The fuel consumption, it is not that good. I will look up later what the factory claimed numbers are, but when I got the car from the owner, he was averaging 14.5 or something like that, which by modern day standards is a lot. I get that this is a V6, this is a big car, square, you know, it doesn't have that great of aerodynamics, but still, I think for the modern days, that's too much. Fuel-wise, you can put any fuel. Unlike many German cars, you are not obligated to using premium and highest quality fuel. I think you could even put 87 in this, or regular, and you would be fine. I do like the seats. The seats are really soft, And even this like faux leather, whatever Volkswagen calls it, VTEC or something they call it, even that one feels nice and soft. There is enough side support, especially on the back side of the seat. I don't glide around, and there is some like side support on the cushion itself too. So the support like on the cushion is not that aggressive. It's not as aggressive as on the side, but it's enough. Like I said, the steering wheel itself is adjustable, although it's not power operated. So you will have to use the lever to like pull it or lower it or raise it. But it's good to have flexibility. It's good to have adjustability. The car is pretty well equipped with safety features. It has all the modern technology, collision prevention warning. I think that's optional. Parktronics or the sensors. Something that comes standard is post-collision brake, which means like if you hit something, the car is gonna apply brakes for you to prevent further damage and further collision. Backup camera, but the backup camera is decent. It's not the best, definitely not the best. There's some pixelation and not super sharp, but it's decent. I wouldn't call it like horrible or anything. This like optional virtual cockpit offers tons of customization. I haven't figured out everything yet, but you could throw your navigation in here and have it be full screen. I want to say that Audi and Volkswagen do this virtual cockpits really good. One thing that I like is that in sport mode, the torque comes in almost instantaneously. It's very responsive to your throttle inputs from a complete stop. But I wish it was just as responsive when you start going, actually. For the size of it, it's quite nimble. Cabin noise isolation is good. I heard some reviewers said that the noise cancellation was not that good. I don't agree with them. We are still in the sport mode, and let's floor it for a second and see how responsive it will be. It's fun. It still holds the gear. So yeah, the car is equipped really good with the technology, and the lane keep assist is present, at least in this particular one. I like how it operates. You know how in many cars the lane keep assist is a little too intrusive. That's not the case here. It just does its job. It keeps you in the lane, but it's not annoying. I recently drove a Hyundai which was equipped with the same technology, and the steering wheel in that car was like constantly swinging left and right. It felt like so bad in your hands that I had to turn it off. So final thoughts now that I've been driving this car for long enough. So among the negatives, the car feels like a land yacht. That also could be included in the positives, but for now let's call it a negative. The engine is good. I think the engine has enough power, but the transmission to engine tuning is not great. Somewhat cheap interior materials is also among the negatives. Like I said earlier, I wish they used real wood and stuff to make this interior look even better. The gas mileage is not that great. It takes a good amount of gas, maybe because they can't fake the readings anymore and they're showing you how much it actually uses. Now let's talk about the positives. It's affordable. It's an affordable European, affordable German car for this price range. I don't even know what else you could get from German manufacturers. It's a good rival to Japanese and American cars. This V6 engine and this transmission too, I'm pretty sure is going to be quite reliable. The car feels nimble for its size, and it's less intimidating than the size initially suggests. Soft seats. I like how soft they are. It's a good cruiser, tons of space, so much space. So if you have a large family and you're looking for a 7-seater, you should definitely take one of these for a test drive for yourself and compare against the competitors and to understand if you like it or not.